Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you, as it always is. I hope you're doing well. Going to be finishing off the rest of these matches for round 3 over in the Cincinnati Masters. Today, as always, we'll be going through each and every one of them. Make sure you get your comments in with your predictions. If there's anything that I'm going to be going for personally, it'll be in that pinned comment where it always is. Feel free to take a look at that, and you can take it if you want. You can leave it if you must. It is entirely up to you. But before we get started, I will ask you to like the video. I'm also going to ask you to get yourself subscribed to the channel, providing that you're not already. We continue to grow each and every day. Get yourself involved. It'd be an honour to welcome you to the team. But very well, first things first, how did we all manage yesterday? Did we enjoy the matches? Did we win? Did we lose? Did we just come close? Just the one from me. I had the over 22.5 games in Tsitsipas and Benjamin Bonzi. It's actually still going on right now, but we can rest assured the over is most definitely cashed. Happy days, very happy about that. Let's see if we can keep going, see if we can build on this. We'll keep hammering the nail, but let me know, share with the group, don't be shy, and we'll get right into it. Let's get straight to business, let's get it on. Right, so first off for us today, we've got Opelka and Francisco Comesana. I think I would have to go with Opelka in this one, given the surface, given the circumstances. He's looked fairly decent, pretty much exactly what we know that he can deliver when he turns up. Hugo Dellien, Alex de Minaur, all in straight sets. You could possibly say Hugo Dellien give him a tougher time than what Alex de Minaur did. Not by much, I mean, it's just a joke, maybe by a game or two, but straight sets, the lot. Happy days, super strong. You can't do a lot against the service power of Opelka when he turns up, I'm afraid. Comesana, he's looked fairly decent too. And we're talking about serving as well. I mean, the first serve from Comesana has been immaculate this week over in Cincinnati. He pulled off the upset against Jaume Munar in straight sets. And then, I say pulled off the upset, I mean, according to the bookies, it was a massive upset, but, you know, we knew that one was a little bit more of a 50-50 on the day. And then the game against Nardi, it looked like he was pretty much just going to do him in straight sets as well. There was not a lot that Nardi could do against the service games of Comesana. I mean, he was a bit hampered, evidently, so he ended up pulling out of that one. It did save me a unit on the day. So, I don't know. A fully fit Nardi, would he have been able to take out Comesana? As we touched on, Nardi's hard court, his hard court abilities, from what we've seen so far this season, they leave a lot to be desired. So even if he was fully fit, maybe he wouldn't have stood much of a chance anyway. That's neither here nor there. I think since we've come back onto the hard court, Comesana's went 3-1. He's beat Demir Juma, Jaume Munar, and then the game against Nardi, the one loss coming to de Minaur over in the second round in Canada. I mean, it's decent fun. It's decent momentum coming into this match, most definitely. But what have all them three players got in common? They all love the clay, don't they? They're all clay players, them. Demir Juma, Munar, Nardi. It's a decent run, nonetheless. But I fear whatever you've been doing to take out the likes of them on the hard court, I don't think it'll be enough. I fear it may not be enough to take out the likes of Opelka over on these Cincinnati hard courts. They're really quick. We'll see. We'll see what happens. One thing I can't help but notice on this, call it 1.45 for Opelka. Now, probably not as much as what I would have liked, providing I was going to take him, I will admit. That totals 24.5. Now, there's always high totals. It's Opelka, in it. You can never break him. Return game's not up so much. I mean, I imagine Comesana could probably stifle him from the baseline. He could probably stifle the first serve. It's a lot easier said than done, especially when you're coming up against the likes of Opelka. I would have to assume that Opelka stands the best chance of getting this one done in straight sets. I feel like the longer these points get drawn out, you have to favour the likes of Comesana if we're talking about stamina and fitness and whatnot. I just don't even think it'll get that far. I would be very surprised if it got that far in this one. I think Opelka might just come out and just smoke him out the bunker. Nothing you can do against that serve. We may see Comesana end up breaking himself above all. I feel like I'd have to go with Opelka. It's a very high total, 24.5, 1.45 for the favourite. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I say, on paper, you'd look at the numbers. Comesana's been serving just as good, statistically. But, I don't know. Has he been playing the calibre of opponent that would let him do just that? Will Opelka stand a better chance against the serve of Comesana? Possibly, potentially. I think he gets it done. Like I say, we're in the States, we're in the hard court, it's pretty quick over here. Providing he can hold up, I feel like I would have to go with Riley Opelka in that one. And then who's next? Who have we got next? I think we've got Alexei Popyrin and Andrei Rublev. We have indeed. These have played each other 3 times before. That's right, twice last year. Once in 2023, Rublev did win the first meeting on the indoor hard court. And then Popyrin's won the last 2. That's right, both in the Masters last year, over in Monte Carlo on the clay, and then in Canada around this time last season. That's right. Straight sets as well, the pair of them. 6-4, 6-4 on the clay, and then 6-2, 6-4 in the final in Canada last year, and that's when he got himself the title. Fantastic. I remember it well. I don't know about you, if that was me, that would give me that little extra boost coming into this one. Dog or not, I'd feel like, look, I've slapped this guy up the last 2 times I've met him in the Masters. I feel like I'm playing good enough to do it again. Both of these have been fairly identical since we've come back onto the hard court. I mean, we didn't see Alexei Popyrin over in Mexico, but that's pretty much been the only difference. Since that, Toronto, they both got to the quarterfinals. Popyrin had a close game with Zverev. Rublev ended up getting beat by Taylor Fritz, and then it seems like most definitely back to winning ways. Come Cincinnati, both have just won the first round match in straight sets. Rublev got it done against Lehecka, and Popyrin doing it against Martin Landelus. What are the odds, you may ask? 1.5. They're pretty much identical to the Rublev match against Lehecka, and I'll say the same thing as what I said in that video too. All these games pretty much more or less, these seem like a coin flip when Rublev is involved. So 2.6 for Alexei Popyrin. Say he slapped them up last time. They met on the hard court, very similar conditions too, and he beat them on the clay. 2.6 seems very tempting to me. Very, very tempting. I've been more than impressed with what I've seen from Alexei Popyrin since we've come back to the hard court. I'm not saying he's playing as good as what he was last year when he took the title. Maybe not. But what I've seen over the last week, more so in Canada, there's most definitely remnants scattered throughout the game of Alexei Popyrin. He's been really good. He ended up taking out Daniel Medvedev in 3, took out Holger Rune, close game against Zverev. That's a lot more than what he's done all season. That is a lot more than what he has done all season. I'll give him that. Andrei Rublev as well. It's becoming a bit of a nightmare trying to predict these Rublev games. Is it even fair to me to say that he should be winning these games anymore? I don't think it is. To say he should be beating this version of Alexei Popyrin, I don't think that's so true. I think, contrary to what the odds would suggest to me in this one, I think this is a hell of a lot closer. Totals around 23.5 to 23.5, around 1.8. I'm not too sure. Although I say I'm not too sure, I do think Popyrin should be good for at least a set in this one. Both very solid behind the serve. I think when it's firing that forehand of Rublev, it can be somewhat unplayable, but the exact same could be said for Alexei Popyrin. Big serve, solid forehand, very solid from the baseline, are the pair of them. I'm expecting it to be a long one, so maybe it does go over the total, over the 2.5 sets. I do fancy Alexei Popyrin for a set. He's been keeping it close with everyone. He's been keeping it very, very close with everyone he's played. Since we've come back to the hard court, it's either very, very close or he's beaten them. So I'll take the over in this one. I'd lean towards Alexei Popyrin for a set. Andrei Rublev 1.5. I don't really fancy doing any business with that. So we shall move on to Jakub Mensik and Luka Nardi. A quick tip of the cap to Luka Nardi. I suppose he's most definitely deserved that from us, and he didn't even get through qualifying. Yet again, we're faced with another lucky loser. Can't make it through qualifying. He ended up getting beat by Alexander Blocks in straight sets. Come in as a dog, only a slight dog, against Thiago Tirante, another clay court specialist, if you will. Beat him in straight sets, and then the game against El Chapo. Look, I didn't touch it. I've kind of been doing well with staying away from El Chapo as of late, but I wouldn't have said he was going to lose that. Prior to that matchup, and we do know Denis Shapovalov is capable of pulling some shit like that every now and then. We've seen it happen. But prior to that matchup, you still probably would have said Luka Nardi probably didn't have much business taking out El Chapo in the Cincinnati Masters. Not at all. But he did, in 3 sets as well. Happy days. I never know, like, how much can you expect from someone who didn't even come through qualifying? It's always a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you think, they've got so much momentum. Well, after you got so much, you can't even say they've got momentum. Look, I'm getting all my fucking brains turned to porridge, trying to figure out how well Luka Nardi may or may not do. One thing I can go off is this. I feel like if Jakub Mensik can turn up, and if he can replicate what he delivered against Ethan Quinn, I think Luka Nardi may be in for a bit of a tough time. These surfaces over here in Cincinnati suit the likes of Mensik down to a T. 1.25? Oh, absolutely not. That's a horrendous price. 1.25. Now that is making me look towards Luka Nardi. Oh no. You don't let the price make your decision for you. You try not to anyway. Just go off what we know. I feel like it's probably not safe to assume. Look, these played each other last year in the Miami Masters. Mensik beat him in straight sets, 6-4, 6-2. I think the majority of the signs do point towards Jakub Mensik in this one. Luka Nardi's went 12-9 on the surface this year. Jakub Mensik 19-8. It would have to be Mensik. I suppose it would have to be Mensik. I don't really have that much more to say on this one. You're brave enough to lean towards an over or Luka Nardi on the point, or I mean the games rather, on the spread. I wouldn't be too sure. I think this could be, however he wants to go about his business is entirely up to him, but this could very well be a Mensik in 2 type of scenario. We'll assess the situation tomorrow, but at 1.2, I don't fancy that price. The price ain't right for me. And then next up, we've got Medjedovic, Carlos Alcaraz. Now, I'd have liked to have said a few more words about this match, but the fact of the matter is, Carlos Alcaraz is 1.1 on the decimal. Colossal favourite. So, what we do with these. We do usually tend to lean towards the dog on the spread, lean towards an over when we get the really big prices. But for those that are new, let me just remind you, there is an exception in spots like this, and it's usually with Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Big spread. It's going to be around 4, 5.5. Call it 5.5. It's going to be. Wouldn't be surprised to see Alcaraz cover that. Absolutely not. Although he looked a bit shaky against the Medjedovic. Dropped a set to the Medjedovic, and it wasn't just any ordinary set either. A bit of a strange match. Indeed. Come out 6-1 in the first, drops the second 6-2, and then wins 6-3 in the third. Far from convincing. Far from the best version of Carlos Alcaraz. I think that's safe to say. Medjedovic continues to surprise, and we said it. We said he could do this. We're more than aware of that. Easy work against Kovacevic, made light work of the American, and then turned up at a tougher game against Talon Griekspoor, but he got that one done. Pretty much all the same, 6-4 and a tiebreak. I think the Kovacevic one, it appeared to be very easy, a very easy match for Medjedovic. Talon Griekspoor, I think that was a bit more difficult, bit of a tougher time out, providing you get the right version of Griekspoor. But he managed to get past him in 2 as well. Happy days. Does it get much more difficult? If more difficult, I don't think it does. Does it get harder than having to play Carlos Alcaraz? I don't think so. I don't think it does. I would love to sit here and give him a shred of hope. Everyone's always in with a shot. There's always a chance. Everyone can beat everyone, especially over on the ATP Tour. But I don't think Medjedovic is going to beat Alcaraz. I would be very surprised if he does. Very, very surprised. I would love to be brave enough to take the spread with Medjedovic, or maybe lean towards an over. He could keep it close. If he can stand behind the serve, if he can keep his head on a swivel, keep a grip of himself. He's so powerful, man. He's so powerful. And it doesn't really matter who you are. When you've got Medjedovic serving bullets at you, there ain't a lot you can do about it. And it's not only that, the baseline game as well. He blasts the shit out of that ball. He can strike it really good. Is that going to be enough to get past Carlos Alcaraz? I wouldn't have thought so. But I suppose if you are seeking the value and the value alone in a match like this, I suppose it would have to be a spread. A spread or a total. Maybe look at a games played. I don't know. Look at some aces for Medjedovic. He could just sneak a few past them. You never know. You never know. But I would imagine, as always, Carlos Alcaraz is going to win this match of tennis today. Right, so next up, it's going to be Khachanov and Jensen Brooksby. I'm looking forward to this one. I think this one could be very interesting indeed. We'll start by saying this. We'll state the obvious. It's very difficult to go against Khachanov at the moment, is it not? He was fantastic last week over in Toronto. One hell of a run. Fikovic, Nava, Kasper Ruud, Michelsen, Zverev, and then eventually got beat by Ben Shelton in the final. Absolutely no shame whatsoever in losing a final like that. It was a decent one, was it not? I really enjoyed it. I think we all did. But then he seems to be back to winning ways against Valentin Royer. First time out over in Cincinnati, 6-4 tiebreak. Bit close for comfort, a bit too close for comfort, but he got the win nonetheless. Now there does usually come a point, more often than not there comes a point, especially with quick turnarounds and deep runs and whatnot. The fatigue does start to creep in. The fatigue begins to settle, and it's a question of when than if. Innit? It's just a question of when than if. It's always hard to gauge when someone's going to run out of steam, but you kind of know straight off the bat when it's hit them. Jensen Brooksby looked decent against Alexander Muller. I'll give him that. Tough game, took 3 sets, but he managed to grind that one out indeed. And then I thought the one against Artixo may have been a bit closer than what it ended up being. He turned up and just slapped the shit out of him, 7-5 and then 6-1 in the second. Happy days. Looked like he was playing like this in Eastbourne. Now I know it was a different surface, but when he hit form and when he hit stride, he was very hard to beat. Possesses a very strong counter-punching style, does Jensen Brooksby. I've noticed that. Khachanov, though, I mean, he's been very solid. Super solid service games. Solid from the baseline as well. There's not a lot that people have been able to do to take out Khachanov since we've come back to the hard court. And I'll be honest with you, if these would have played each other last week, I'd have thought Khachanov would have beat the shit out of him. But I don't know, I suppose we'll never know. They have played each other once before back at Indian Wells 2022. A bagel and 6-3 for Jensen Brooksby. Mad. Absolute madness. He was doing that to him then. Can he do it again now? Or can he at least get the win? Keep it close? I think Brooksby might be able to keep it close, you know. I think he might be able to keep it close. The main thing I'm basing it off is just how much has Khachanov got left. 1.4. I suppose it's not too bad. It's an okay parlay piece, providing you're fully sold and you're a taker on Khachanov. Do we have any takers on Khachanov? I don't think I'd be going near them in this one. Like I said, if these would have faced off last week, I'd have took them in a heartbeat. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Maybe lean towards an over. I think even if he is a little bit tired, maybe not running on fumes, but even if Khachanov's not fully 100%, not fully what we seen last week, I still think he possesses enough strength within the service games to drag this one out. And I think Brooksby, if he's going to win, he may have to go to war with Khachanov today. So we'll see what happens. I'd lean towards an over in that one. And then we've got Lehecka and Adam Walton. Loads of big favourites, not a lot of meat on the bone today. Not a lot of meat on the bone, quite a bunch of big favourites throughout the entire slate, apart from one or two. Lehecka coming in around 1.2 against Adam Walton. What you're going to do with that, I'm not too sure. People are taking it too. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I imagine he's going to beat Adam Walton today. These played each other last year over in Adelaide. It's the only time they faced off. And Lehecka wiped the floor with Adam Walton 6-1, 6-3. That's right. Now, I think Adam Walton's come on leaps and bounds. You know, he's improved a hell of a lot since that match at the start of last season. We'll give him that. But I also think Lehecka's improved. He maybe not improved as much as Adam Walton compared to, from where they are to where they are now. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on it. But if that's what he was doing to him back then, I don't think Adam Walton has improved enough to overturn a fucking deficit like that. No way. I expect it's going to be more of the same. Lehecka on the hard court. I will always go back to earlier on, the start of the season. I mean, look, he played solid on the grass too, 7-3 on the grass, but I think we get the majority of efficiency from Lehecka on the hard court surface, 15-7 in total, 1-1 indoors. 30-16 for the Australian. Now, admittedly, there's a couple of challenges littered throughout that, so don't let it fool you. 29-16 for Lehecka on the season, 33-23 for Adam Walton. It would have to be Lehecka in this one. He had a close game with Tristan Boyer in the first round. Very close indeed. I mean, dropped that first set 6-4, come back 6-1, 6-4, easy as you like. Adam Walton, though, I mean, did Adam Walton pull off the biggest upset so far over in the Cincinnati Masters, getting past Medvedev? I think he may have done, And look, I'm not totally surprised that Medvedev's managed to shit away a game that he probably should win. We said it, didn't we? We said it literally when we were talking about that match. There's games like that, just these crazy performances where you think, oh, he should be nailed on to win, and he doesn't. And it looks like that was another one of them. I don't want to take anything away from Adam Walton, but Medvedev's been far from the Medvedev that we used to this season. We'll just leave it at that. And another thing as well, the game he had against Mariano Navone in the first round left a lot to be desired. After that, took 3 sets, 3 close ones as well. He was pretty much all but beat against Navone. Had to come back from a set down. After a performance like that, I weren't very sold on the Medvedev game either. I didn't think he was going to turn up against Medvedev and do much better against him, but he did. So maybe Adam Walton's just full of surprises this week. Maybe it could be worth taking a look at an over or taking a look at Adam Walton on the spread. Lehecka 1.2. It's very steep. I think it's a bit too steep for me. I'm not going to say I'm certain because we're never fully certain about anything. That's given false confidence, but I would be as sure as I can be about Lehecka getting this one done. I'd be lost for words if Adam Walton was to turn up and to smoke Lehecka. If anything, I think Lehecka will be the one who's doing the smoking. And if he's going to be a little bit off the beat, off the boil, maybe lean towards an over, that could come in. We did see Adam Walton keep it close against Zverev last time out in Toronto. And then he's back to winning ways over here. 3 against Navone, 3 against Medvedev. Lehecka had 3 against Boya. You know, I wouldn't mind just taking a punt on the over total games in this one. We may get a low one. Got a really big favourite. The total might be a little bit lower than usual, so it's just food for thought. And then this shouldn't take much longer. So we've got Binach, Alexander Zverev. It'd have to be Zverev for me. It would have to be Zverev for me. 1.3 is not very tempting by all means, but if we're picking a winner, I imagine Zverev gets this one done. They've played each other 4 times before, and Zverev has won every single one. Beat him in Stuttgart on the grass earlier on this season, in straight sets, may I add. US Open last year, 3-1. He did drop the first set in the US Open and then come back 6-1, 6-2, and then 6-2. Absolute domination. French Open 2022 and then US Open 2020. Zverev just beats Binach. Seems to be the way of the water in this one. Like I said, 1.3. It ain't very tempting. Far from it. 3.7 for Binach. Makes sense. It's a decent price. But we don't just take dogs because of the price. I can't see him getting past Zverev. But I will say this. He put in a decent one against Alexander Blocks. I feel like the crowd most definitely helped him out in that one, and I feel like the crowd will most definitely be there for him in this one too, but how much of a difference will it make on the day? I couldn't really tell you. Not a lot against the likes of Zverev, I'd be willing to bet. Zverev turned up and just took out Nishesh Bassafareddy. Of course he did, that was always going to happen. People have been keeping it close against Zverev, apart from Nishesh Bassafareddy, but I'll say it, not surprised whatsoever. He beat Adam Walton. Be thinking back to Toronto, the game against Adam Walton, straight sets. As close as it's going to get. Massive favourites in that tie-break, 6-4. There's a spread covered, I imagine. The game against Arnaldi. Now, Arnaldi wouldn't have covered his spread, but he did take a set. Did take a tie-break. Decent match. Decent performance. As good as it's going to get, pretty much, without beating him. And then the match against Cerundolo. I think Cerundolo could have just taken a set. He may have beaten him. It looks like he was in with more than a chance of doing so until he ended up getting injured. So that was a shame. Would have liked to have seen how that one would have finished. How many times have we said that since that match? And then the match against Popyrin as well. We knew Popyrin was going to keep it close. He sent that one over the games. And then he got beat by Khachanov 2-1. Yet another one going close, going over. And then the easiest one was against Nishesh. But like I said, I'm not surprised. Absolutely not. Brandon Nakashima, if Adam Walton, Matteo Arnaldi, Alexei Popyrin can keep it that close, can give him that good of a battle. Now, I'm not saying Binach's playing as good as maybe as an Alexei Popyrin at the moment. Maybe not. But an Adam Walton, Matteo Arnaldi, I feel like he slots in perfectly. I think he's more solid than the pair of them. He is more solid than the pair of them. And they had a decent go against Zverev. I would fancy Binach to have at the bare minimum, a decent go against the current version of Alexander Zverev. So not a lot of people are beating him, but keeping it close. The return game seems to be a little bit passive. Does it from Zverev? I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I think Binach, he's in with a chance of keeping it close always. Strong serve games. He plays good on the hard court. I feel like we're going to get the best out of him over on the hard court, that's for sure. But ultimately, I don't feel like he's going to have enough. He won't have enough minerals. He's not going to have enough in the bag to get this one done against Zverev today. I could only go with the German to get this one done. Maybe lean towards an over if you're brave. Like I say, the overs have been hitting more often than not deeper into this tournament. Maybe look at the overs in the sets as well, over 9.5, something like that. It's just food for thought. And then we'll wrap this shit up with yet another quick one. Got Ben Shelton, good old Shelly, Roberto Batista Agut. It's going to be Ben Shelton, innit? Going to be Ben Shelton. Can't see Shelly getting beat by Batista Agut. You know, not currently how he's playing. Absolutely not. Playing lights out tennis. Serve is immaculate. Just doing everything right. He looked unbelievable last week in Toronto. You've got to give it to him. He looked so fucking good. and then he turned up against Ugo Carabelli, and he was just going to beat him too. Now, Batista Agut, he's looked decent over in Cincinnati, I may add. Got past Daniel Altmaier. Close match. He was favoured to do so. 2 tiebreakers is what was needed, but he managed to stay strong, get that one out. Happy days. And then he turns up as a dog against Cam Nardi, and just like we said, he fucking just beat him, didn't he? Honest to God, Cam Nardi, man. He was a favourite again. And after what I've seen against Vukic, I was willing to believe, I was willing to let him off and say, you know, maybe that was just a bit of an unforeseen one from Alexander Vukic, because not only did Cam Nardi look a bit shit, I did think Alexander Vukic looked really fucking good as well. So maybe you've got to give credit where credit's due. I've got something in my eye, excuse me. Fuck, it's gone now. Where was I? Yeah, the Vukic and Nardi game, it's whatever. But turning up against Batista Agut, he should have probably maybe not have won it, but definitely given a better performance than what he ended up giving on the day. Batista Agut turned up and just fucking Batista bombed the shit out of Nardi, didn't he? Straight sets. Didn't stand a chance. Didn't give him a chance. But taking out Daniel Altmaier and taking out the current version of Cam Nardi is one thing. Turning up and getting it done against this version of Ben Shelton is proven to be a near impossible task that even the best of the best, the cream of the crop in these Masters tournaments, can't even manage to do. So I'd be willing to bet. I wouldn't be willing to bet because the price is ridiculous. It's 1.18 for Shelley. But I'd be willing to back that he gets this one done today. Probably in straight sets. Played each other twice last year, both on the hard court, US Open, Australian Open, both in slam settings. Both went to Ben Shelton in 3. 6-2 a tiebreak, 7-5 in the Australian Open, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 in the US Open. I imagine it's going to be more or less the same in this. I am expecting Ben Shelton to get this one done in straight sets. If he's to get sent home by Batista Agut today, I don't know how I feel about that. I can't see it happening. But we'll see what happens anyway. We'll assess the situation come tomorrow. Very well, folks. That is going to do us for tonight. Another one in the bag. I appreciate you for stopping by. Thanks for watching. As always, you all mean a lot to me. Believe that. Before you go, if you haven't done it already, like and subscribe. Yeah, I'd appreciate that too. Very well. I'll be saying good night to you. You take it easy, you take care of yourselves, and you take care of one another. It's the most important thing, innit? Let me know what you're going for. Get your bets and all that stuff in the comments. Share with the group. Don't be shy. We all appreciate the help and the advice. And as always, if there's anything I'm going for, it's going to be in that pinned comment. Make sure you're checking that out. But I'll see you around, folks. Best of luck to you. Enjoy the matches today. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow.